Hey there, everyone. Patty D here, your life coach and spiritual headhunter. Today, I'm speaking with Michele Delgado, who is an artist extraordinaire. And honestly, when I say artist, it just falls flat for me because he's an amazing individual that is spiritual of mind, kind, incredibly grounded, and his work literally comes from the subconscious. It's an expression of who he is. And when I talk to Michele, it's about the seeds we plant, because those seeds germinate and they lead to the expressions of our life. So Michele, so happy to be talking to you today.
Oh, hi. Me- Here as well. Thank you for inviting me, to this interesting journey you just started. I'm grateful to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I
Hmm.
mean, you and I have had so many delicious conversations, and
Mm,
that's what this is going to be, right? Because um, it is my understanding that more of these conversations need to be out and about and spoken about, right? It's the inner journey. It's what's reflected in our outer journey, and no one exemplifies the inner journey as much as you, right? I
oh,
mean, even from when I first met you, your work that I can see in the background there is an expression of who you are. And so I can start with so many big questions because you and I can easily go there, but
mhm.
um, we're in amazing times and they're uncertain. And so, how are you navigating this time right now?
For sure, for sure. That's very a lot of kind words. I actually, I have a studio in Chicago, and I was very fortunate enough to have a place also down south in the Keys when I come to escape the art world and also, for some downtime. So I happen to be here, and I cannot be more grateful. This,
Mm,
from this perspective, it's way much easier to navigate. Definitely, yeah, the the uncertainty of it. You get up every day, you continue to do what you do. There's some there's a lot of interruption, but I think that's something I'm trying to adapt to as I go. Yeah,
mm.
yeah,
So, Michelle, you were raised in Senegal, and
yes,
if I'm remembering from our conversations, you started painting when you were 14.
yes. I mean, I started actually really getting into it. I was about 17, and then it's interesting because on this very early age, I always knew that's what I wanted to do. It's to make art, express my sense of wonder, all these million questions I had, and no one was able to answer that to me. So through the work, through the art, I was really able to take off from there, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how all of that came together. Hmm.
And are you're self-taught?
Yes, I'm 100% self-taught, you know, and I think what had helped me pretty much was I grew up around a lot of incredible mind, and these cats in that time, they were very, very intelligent, totally artistic. They were just living art, and so it was really interesting because I I I I was really captivated by that. So they were puppet maker, they were stage artists, they were playwright, they were filmmaker, they were philosopher, they were healer, and the way actually how they mine and they intertwine with reality was very, very unique and different. So for me, I was very thrown by that, and I wanted it hard. So I followed those cats like a dog.
Mm. And
Yeah.
you absolutely did, because you are all those things. And
Yeah.
I especially fall in love with the philosophical side of the
Yeah.
conversations that we've had in the past. And, you know,
Mhm.
there's one thing that you mentioned, no journey in my life, um, no journey in my life is straightforward.
Mhm.
Right. So, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the inner journey and the outer journey. But,
Yeah.
but I've also have been privy to you navigating your journey.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
one thing that you exemplify is centeredness and groundedness, even in the
Uh-huh.
most uncertain of times. And so
Right.
talk to, you know, whoever might be listening out there
Mhm.
with regards to that, because it's so
Yeah.
easy to get off kilter these days.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the statement was pretty much about that, to really know there is nothing more important in my life who interrupt me from this very strong desire to continue to want to know, to be able to rely and then my own inner self and then my own spirit and try to develop a relationship with that. So that took a lot of time and it was a lot to figure it out, to sort it out. And then my person, as I was growing as an individual, I was um, I was encountering some work. They were coming from no other places in reality than in myself. So I get really, really interested with that. And then the journey has been that. I had find a way to develop, this inner relationship within my soul or my spirit, and then living in this reality on a daily basis. All of those are triggered by that. But now the work and then the image, the composition, and all of those, um, all of those encounter, they come pretty much from a place is very deep in me. And I had to learn to trust it and then to, uh, you know, uh, really find a way to not have no interruption whatsoever about it because
Mhm.
you're so bombarded with reality, how to cater to that, and then also seeking for approval. This my things is good, it's not good. I mean, it was very clear for me. The two cats who had really inspired me, they made it very clear. Art, it's nothing else than about um, the moral value. There's no economic to it. And if you can make things, you can connect in that level, then you're probably doing a good art. It's totally 100%. It's a moral value. What I look at the work and other artists, when I look at what I do, if I can really have that sensuality touch me, then I'm moving in the right direction for sure.
Well, it's trusting your inner self, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your that
Yeah.
inner voice that you are connecting to,
Mm-hmm.
and how do you go about connecting to that
Uh,
inner speak?
yeah, that's a very good question because it's been for so long my normality, and I'm gonna try to go back to it. But I think it's pretty much about for me, it's a link, I believe, between me and my spirit, and I had to find a way to establish this relationship, to develop, to understand how it works. Because I always heard about the spirit, something higher than me, all of those things, where I access that. And I think it was finding, a time to kind of listen to it first. And as you listen to it, your body, your physical body, and what you have, your mind, your heart, have a tendency to tune into it. And then it's a very interesting sense of openness, of a sense of ground, of a power, and that you establishing it from that place. It's very
Hmm.
quiet, it's very peaceful. But as you increment that, it gets louder. And I think at time, for a lot of us, that part of ourselves is interrupted. We don't know how to access that. So it's a relationship that you have to really forge, and then to really be able to trust it, no matter how much this reality is throwing you. The pain, joy, experience, good, bad. The reality is constantly trying to interrupt that.
Right.
And then if you're mindful enough to know your answer are not there, is to follow that trend, then it becomes this commitment that you had. And then I was trying to elaborate on the other statement. So that's how pretty much I can remember that. And from time to time, I get a little bit, I'm a human, I get a little bit, distracted.
Sure.
And then, the reception are gone for a day or two, but you plug back in it. And then you don't always plug back in it with a pleasantry, of, what you encounter in life or the success or this and that. Yeah, you just put an effort and then it comes. And then you maintain that.
Mm-hmm. Do you, a lot of coaching clients that I have them write, right? I have them journal, ask me questions. But really I wanted to, be able to flow through them and write whatever it is that they want to. Do you do that? Do you have a routine where you're allowing yourself to channel?
Yeah, no, because I usually, 90%, 95% of my work, I don't sketch them. What I come to crack into the work, they come as an emotional experience, as a spiritual experience. And that's all I have when I go to work. And then that kind of opened the door for me to access the images that I'm going to be encountering. Totally intuitive. And that's how I arrived to an image I never see before in this reality. Never see it before in any other content. That's where the excitement starts coming. There I am. I see something in images I never see in reality. And then for me, that's a successful day of work. Because sketching it, I think for me, number one, I don't draw very well. And then number two, just it's an anticipation. And then I don't want to be able to control it. And if I'm not able to control it, then the pleasant or the unpleasant, I'm going to embrace it, because I can tune it up in a way then it will satisfy the place where it comes from.
And you really do come from the heart, right? So here, here it is. I want these two to be friends.
They're good. They're
right?
good. Yeah.
I have been saying this for a long time. Like, I want my heart and my mind to be friends.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
I want, and of course now the word is that, it's the coherence between the two, because then you're lighting circuits in ways that that quite honestly we couldn't have imagined. And and I believe that you come from that space, but also your paintings really come from the subconscious.
So because what I was talking about early, that's the subconscious, like what you were talking about, the friendly dynamic between your head and your heart. Well, that's another dynamic that we have to kind of find a way to figure out to create a balance in this reality. So for me, I try not to I try not to engage in that, because one example, if you have a friend, you don't always have to check with them. They're my friend. They there, so I have to rely to that source. I don't know if it's a very a perfect friendship or relationship, but they pair together, and then they are there, and then I have a very good sense of when my head goes off and then when my heart goes off. So I got to find a way as a human to try to bring it back together, and then I go back to the spirit, you know, because as long as I can find an element of nutrients, then I can add to those two. Well, they chill together nicely, you know. And then sometimes there is a lot of things I experience in my life, I tell you honestly, Pat, then it's almost impossible to find the answer in your head or in your heart. This has to come from someplace. Your spirits has to come from somewhere higher, and that's where I I felt like, wow, I never thought that, because I will run things in my head, I will get to no answer. I will run it to my heart, I will get a no answer. But I find the way to access something will equalize those two things. And then I can work till I get to the next phase of the discomfort or the unpleasant and so on and so forth, disappointment, whatever you want to call that. So there is a lot of things I'm pretty much sure for me today, I cannot resolve it with my heart and my, you know, my head.
So when you ask yourself the question, what am I here to do? You're really directing that question outwardly and talking to spirit versus necessarily attempting to have the channel right in here, right in the straight and narrow of the mind, heart, and the belly, right?
Yeah.
Am I picking up on that, right?
I mean, it's close. It's relatively, because if that's the only access you have, that's where you usually go to, you know, and that's totally legit, you know. And I have to ask myself, you know, what is my spirit, you know, want of me? What my life wants of me? What did my career want of me? Those expectations, you have to be able to answer them. And if you cannot answer them, you have to go back and ask the question, because you can crack through those codes, you know.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I'm here to be on service of those things, you know.
So powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I think so those things are very, very simple, but the things is that sometimes I don't wait for the answer. I run to another corner because I don't like discomfort. I want to figure things out, and then it's just like you spinning.
Right.
You know, and then you're spinning. So, I mean, the simple formula was pretty much like, you know, what my spirit wanted of me. You know, for me to be a jerk, so for me to be, you know, too open and let the whole world step all over me, the answer is there. What I mean, it's like you have to get to that answer, and the waiting part, that's the hardest one.
The waiting is the hardest one, isn't it? Because we're so impatient, and we're living in the present of right now, where everything is so immediate at our fingertips, and
see how spoiled we are, right?
So spoiled.
Yeah,
really true.
Bunch of teenagers running around and nobody want to own their own stuff, right?
Oh, didn't you nail that one? How true is that? Right? I mean, it's just you know, it really is about, especially now, it's about the next move.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
It's because life is changing. It has changed. We're in this like nowhere zone, because you know what's normal, right? I mean, we haven't figured that out yet, because the normal that we all knew has been shattered. Right. So, of course, we're talking during the time of the pandemic, but you know, that aside, you know, what resonates within us and the expression of ourselves, you know, comes from going quiet.
Yes, that's one. That's definitely one. Yeah.
So give me another one.
Yeah. I mean, I think the you know, the bottom line is we totally disoriented, and then everybody's holding on to mommy or to other shit than they familiar with to get an answer.
Yeah, right.
And then the more you hold on, those things don't have the answer,
They don't.
so they're gonna make up an answer for you. Well, I mean, I think so these things, when I spin enough, I just like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna approach it the same way. This is total uncertainty. That's where I grow the most.
Yeah,
And
right. Right.
that's what I kind of went from. So the next question was like, everything I can speculate of, I'm just gonna make it up. This is just me trying to confine these things for that to work for me, right?
Mhm.
Now, if I go a little bit further, then I don't have no other places to go, to just surrender, and then to just allow whatever's coming. When it gets here, I will be able to evaluate that. But I gotta get this ready.
Right.
Yourself, you know, your spiritual side, your creative side, your emotion side. You have to find a way to constantly feeding it of good food, good nutrients. Because when the answer of that all things comes, you'll be pretty much intact to be able to like, oh, okay, now this is not a, you can make this shit up. You got to get to it, you know. And I think it burns less energy inside of me because,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, people get frustrated, or they go that way, they go that way, they go that way, they go that way, and then they
And
just
no, they
realize,
spin out. They
yeah.
spin out because
So
they don't know the
yeah,
direction, and instead of,
yeah.
sitting
I mean,
still.
how would I know an answer if my heart, my mind, even my spirit had never experienced something like that? The only person I think what experienced that, it was some of my ancestors, because the world they've been here for ever with it, you know, but not in this type of level, but different level. I can get to them for the answer right now. But I think so that's something how you put these things together. You can just speculate, you know, have an idea that, you know, it will go worse, it will go good, it will go this, it will not. But I don't want to be in denial. One, that's for sure. You
Yeah,
know,
right.
crisis is crisis. It hurts, and I have to be mindful about it. And then I just have to go to my work, and then you know, some days I work if it comes. Some days there's nothing there. Then it's like, okay, it's time for me to nurture another part of my being, and I go do that, and I go do that, and then it's like now we probably almost coming to 2 months of this unknown, and that takes you a long way, you know.
It does. And
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
it's waiting for that perfect time and perfect order,
Yeah,
right? And because
yeah.
the change presents itself, you will know
Mm-hmm.
what to take action on, when to take action when
Mm-hmm.
it's apparent, right? And
Yeah.
that's really where the
Mm-hmm.
courage comes in,
That's it.
especially when you only know so much, you can
Mm-hmm.
only see so far,
Mm-hmm.
and um, uh, especially if you have to take big action, right?
Yeah.
Like a move, or
Yeah.
quitting a job, or breaking up
Mm-hmm.
with someone, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
our gut knows the answer, but
Mm-hmm.
we choose to have a different conversation in our mind that
Mm-hmm.
keeps us, in comfort. Because here it is. A lot of people say they want change, and believe me, I've talked to hundreds, if not thousands, of them throughout the years. But
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, what it always comes down to is that they want comfort,
That's it.
and you do
Yeah.
not grow
Mm-hmm.
when you're
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. It's
Yeah.
through the stresses, the strains, the financial instability, right?
Yeah.
The flying solo, being single, it's no family, it's
Mm-hmm.
missing pieces that
Mm-hmm.
really are
Mm-hmm.
our candle.
Yeah, for
It's
sure. And I think the very important component of this, you know, we were taken totally off guard. often see
Yes.
to, we minimize that. It was happening in a neighbor and it never get to me. We were abstractly looking at, but totally get off guard. So when you get off guard, well, the next things you gotta put your clothes back on, and then you gotta sit down, maybe get something to drink,
Mm-hmm.
and then try to figure these things out on a daily basis. You know, I think the discomfort, it's not something then, a human has tendency to gravitate towards, but that's something where we grow the most, like you say. And it's like, again, you know, to have this courage that you develop on a daily basis, to know you have it, you can
Mm-hmm.
rely, you know, it is there. Am I choosing today to pick on that, or am I choosing to sit on the sideline and bark to everything who comes, you know, fucked up in my life? But I think so. There is an interesting quote then, you know, Jesus had brought, which a lot of us know, you know, the truth will set you free.
Oh,
You
right.
know that, well, but in the
Right.
meantime, it will fuck up your day, right? You go, right? So it's just that. That, okay, I'm cool with that, but man, my day is fucked up right now. Where do you go with that, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I
yeah. That's the
I
just
like that little part of it. It's a nice, friendly reminder.
well, here it is. And this is why I love talking to you, Michelle,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're you're so honest in the kindest kind of way.
Oh,
Right? And when I spin out, how many times did I talk to you when I was moving in a
mm-hmm.
car? I
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
you would
Mm-hmm.
be my passenger, from afar, that I would circle around back
For
to
sure.
get me straight. And
Yeah.
that's what a guide is, right? That's what a
Mm.
coach is, or someone who
Mm-hmm.
wants there's no
Mm-hmm.
attachment, wants nothing but the best for you,
For
right?
sure.
Where you
Mm-hmm.
have that kind of conversation where you can bring that
Yeah.
person back down.
Yeah, you know, as much as we want sometime believe into when we are in those rotten place, I mean, those moments, they were more valuable for me, the therapeutic fact of it, that we both was exchanging energy. What we're doing, it was creating more space to get to clarity.
Right.
I don't think I had, you know, any set answer or clear solution, because I was more focused on the value of these therapeutic things that we were able to do. And then, you know, and then we both leave the phone feeling like, oh, that's a good reminder for me. That's probably another insight you can take to the end of your day. And
Mhm.
I believe it works. So it's very simple. It doesn't cost anything. I never send
Right.
you a bill for it.
No, you
So
haven't.
you say, and
Right.
then I get a lot out of that as well. So
Yeah,
it's all
it's an energetic exchange is what it is,
for, yeah,
right?
for sure, for sure. And you heal the confusion in that moment, or you increase the clarity for me, because we were not in the same place at the same moment. But the way that I can relate to you, I've been there, or I experienced that, and so on and so forth, like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And isn't
yeah,
that beautiful what you just said? It's the clarity that comes through the confusion, and that
yeah,
is what we're all gaming for,
for
right?
sure.
I mean, when you have that clarity, there the alignment is there, and one thing that I've been saying lately is that you need the alignment before you have the momentum. I mean,
Right.
we can
Mm-hmm.
all move, and we are both movers, right? You
Uh-huh.
swim, I
Uh-huh.
I'm out and about every day,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
regardless of the weather. It's like
Mm-hmm.
being out, moving, walking, hiking, running,
Mm-hmm.
something. And
Mm-hmm.
and I think like that really connects you to your body, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's
And I think
connecting
so
you
the,
to your breath.
yeah, and that's the other component I was talking about earlier. You know, if I'm stuck over here right now in this reality, in this particular creation, well, then I have to be quick enough, mindful enough. There's other things I can take care of. I can take care of my body. I can take care of my habits. I can take care of my pattern. I can work on my hurt. I can work. So you go to those different things. So you diversify, and the intensity of you being trapped in one place get lessen and lessen and lessen. The sooner that you return back to your creativity, everything is open. So it comes back to this, you know, when you talk about enlightenment, the being saying being aligned. I mean, the first part of it for me, it's like enlightenment, and then I
Mm,
cannot find enlightenment any other place than in myself.
right.
You know, it doesn't come from other places. I gotta find a way to sort it out and to let this energy seize down. For therefore, that's like, oh, how did this shit just get here?
Hmm.
Well, and then you call it God, you call it that, you call it that. And for me, that's what enlightenment, those they in there. And then it also come back to the waiting part element of it. You know, we lose that capability. And, you know, that's why it gets challenging sometimes.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, let's gear to another part of the conversation, which is like the universal laws,
For
right? I
sure.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
we're living the universal law of we are one right now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
which quite honestly is probably, I would have to suspect, the most important universal law.
Right.
You know, there's the
Mm-hmm.
universal law of vibration, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
know, we get into good rhythms with who we are and our work. But
Mm-hmm.
are there any other universal laws that come to mind that you live by, that, you know, it's a guiding light for you?
I mean, I think so those and I have they good enough. I mean, I think so the universal law, if you look at this whole package, right? It
Yeah.
comes with sound, it comes with our senses, you know, and then we trying to attach it to how nature function. It function the same way, the earth rotated, the season change, and all of that, it's all in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I don't think I need more tool and clarity than that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, now I feel like sometime, and from day one, you are this instrument, right? And it's totally out of tune. By the time I get to my reality, how the fuck I can play a sound with this instrument? The guitar needs to be tuned up. The guitar needs to be, the string needs to be changed. You know, I got to find a way to treat the body of it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where, you know, all of these things start making sense to me. I'm off. I'm totally spinning, like you were saying earlier. That's the last things I want to do, is to tune my instrument for there. You and I and the world can be able to play this harmony, this beautiful song.
Mm-hmm.
So if my guitar is fucked up, which I don't like guitar anyway, but I'm just giving you a metaphor of an instrument.
No, I get
You
it.
know, you
Yeah,
know. So
no, I
is
get
that
it.
instrument okay? How's your, you know, your as your instrument is tuned?
Right.
Yeah, I didn't think about it. You should just like, no, wait a minute, come back, come back. Yo, check this stuff. This is off tune. This string is not even supposed to be over here. It's supposed to be over there. Now you react, you say, well, don't tell me what the fuck to do, you know? But no, you made a mistake. This is not an order, right? So there is an order to this. They go from the smaller one to the big one. If you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
them upside down, be humble enough to change it. Just shut up, because whoever's teaching you what you need to learn, they just trying to get you to the right instrument so you can play, because we're waiting for you.
Right.
The
Right.
part that you bring into this song, the end of this music, we want you to be part of it. And that's the conversation you're having with your higher self.
Right. You have to listen to the words that Michelle is saying, everyone, because
Mm,
this is why our
mm,
conversations are delicious, right?
mm, mhm,
Because it's like you just, you know, so many touch points on
mhm,
on being in tune and being your own tuner. right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's not looking to the outside world to tune me up,
Yeah.
because here it is, like, I Michelle, you know this, like, I love to live large. And when I say large, like, it's just feeling that vibration that is pulsating through me, that
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
know is a conduit to transcend, quite
Right.
honestly. Right? I
Mm-hmm,
mean, like,
mm-hmm.
it's a beautiful thing to be able to um, live it,
Yeah.
and then help others actually
Mm-hmm,
do the same. Right? I mean,
mm-hmm.
there are so many individuals out there that are shaken to the core over this, and it's been amazing to me because I find myself just like locked and loaded, fully leaning in. Right?
Mm-hmm,
It's like,
mm-hmm,
this is uncertainty.
mm-hmm.
I've known uncertainty far too long. Right? I mean,
Right.
that's one
Right.
thing that we haven't in common. But
Right. Right.
I I have just found to have so
Mm-hmm,
much courage during this time, and not just for myself, right, but
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
for others as well, like letting them know, like, it's
Yeah,
going to be okay. But I say
for
it's going to
sure.
be okay, and by the way, meditate, do the inner
Mm-hmm,
work, connect with
mm-hmm.
yourself, right, and
Yeah,
get out of the groove that's going around in your brain, that's
yeah.
fucking up the conversation.
Right, right. No, for sure. I mean, I think that this largeness, when you brought it out, the largeness is that, for me, living large, if I can get to that, by all kinds of means, either I created it, I work hard for that, we are entitled to it. Now it's like how we compartmentalize that. If I can have those really high moments like that, I have to learn the lower one as well.
Right, right.
So then it create an interesting balance because a meaning now, the largeness of those things is to know when you are inside of those places, what you indulge with. It's yourself, you're taking care of that. That's large. That's your efforts. You work hard for that money. And then, that place where you are physically. So all of those things, if they've been actually stripped away from you, the lower time of it, and then you adapt to it, and then you get back to that. So to have this flexibility, I mean, it's a very great existence, in my opinion.
The highs and lows bring you to a place of equanimity,
That's for sure. That's for
right?
sure.
I
Yeah,
mean, if you get too cocky, guess what? Something's going to come around and slam you down.
yeah, yeah. But then again, in the meantime, it will fuck your day up, and that's what it is, and then to just have the refusal of that, I'm gonna pound into this situation than I am, and then you can go on and on till the sun went out, but the reality of it, you have again the power, the capability of digging back yourself off the mud, and then again it's collectively reaching out, hey man, I'm struggling, tell me what is
Hmm.
the next move. And that's again, you're practicing your heart, you're opening it, your mind is the compass, it will take you to those places, be humble to
Hmm.
go in a and the social kitchen and sit down, get your meal, there's nothing wrong with that,
Hmm.
and all of those things kind of take you back to where you feel like, yeah, I can move on now, and then remember to put those things back there, to give back, to be
Hmm.
able to see someone who's hurt, not come and tell them what to do, to just hug them, to just be there,
Hmm.
listening to them, because I don't know what's best for them. I
Right.
don't know how they get here. I'm just meeting a stranger and I'm just listening to it. And it's time for me to go. Blessing, you can send them a lot of good stuff, some energy, some good thought, just to take the moment to sit next to them. It's
Hmm.
huge. I
Yeah.
mean, it's same
So
thing.
yeah.
it's same thing, you know, when someone dying, what you ask them, you come to the room, you don't fucking know what to do. They don't want nothing else than you just sitting next to them. That's it. They don't want a
Right.
cigarette. They don't want another cake. They just want another human to sit there. And that, I mean, it takes, you know, it takes a lot for some of us to get to that place.
Sure. Yeah, no,
Hmm.
that's built up of strength and stamina and understanding because here it is. We it's a time to not see through each other, but to see each other through,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? I
That's a
mean,
very,
that's the understanding that I'm living by right now. It
mm-hmm,
most certainly is uh I am not going to reflect like what my opinion on to someone else, but most certainly I'm going to do my best to meet them where they are.
yeah, yeah. And those things kind of take, you know, it goes a long way. It's sometimes very minute, or it's just like almost, you know, you minimize that. But for them, it's huge. And it's for me to remember that, to take the time to stop, to recognize that, and to do something. What is my next best things to do? So,
Yeah.
you know, and it doesn't have to be something huge. It's just like, you know, a small gesture, you know, and that's, you know, in the end, those are the only things I believe we can take with us when we leave this earth.
Right. Yeah. Michelle,
Yeah,
like let's
yeah,
venture into the subconscious just a little bit, right? Because
sure.
your work, which I can see in the background,
Hmm.
really does
Hmm.
come from, like I say it really does come from your subconscious. Like I'm making that safe assumption, but you and I have also had conversations in the past. So what do you know, and here it is, the subconscious rules everything, right? You know,
Wow.
and we need to be awake to it, right?
Right.
Because it's our, you know, those stories that we can't remember and that we want to wake up to, and it's the beliefs that we have that we
Hmm.
don't even know that we have, and it's the
Hmm.
assumptions that we make. When I work with some of the people that I do, and I, you know, and I say, what assumptions are you making? I mean, believe me, that question takes thought because they
Hmm.
they don't even think they're operating with assumptions, and most certainly we all are. But
Yeah.
how do you go about connecting with your subconscious to,
Hmm.
or do you go about attempting to connect with it? You know, do you
Hmm.
talk to it? Do you journal at night? Do
Yeah.
you ask to have dreams?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think so most of my time, you know, on a waking life, that was my normality. I spend a lot of time, you know, there, you know, trying to figuring things, you know, questioning things. And then I think so those advancements, it's an accumulation. By the time I get to my work, it's pretty much with me, you know, and there is, you know, some emotional experience I get. Where does it come from? How these things work? And what I find out in all of those experiences, they don't happen to me. They happen for me.
Hmm.
Then it changed the metaphor of where I'm gonna. This is now something. It's an intake. I can take that versus, you know, blocking it. Yeah, it happened to me. Da, da, da. Then you're blocking it. When these things happen for me, I have choices. I have largeness to pick from creatively. I can go further and further in there. Now, the things is, how I encounter those different layers, if I'm able to start pulling images in there and then bringing them to reality. Because sometimes, often people look at my work and say, this is a dog. I say, no, it's a pig. Or this is a person, but why they have a tail, or why they have four legs? And you know, because that's how I try to invite them and I compose them together, because these all appear to me to be real, but they're not real here. Doesn't mean they're
Right.
not real to me.
Right.
And so that's another layer of certainty I have to be very confident about those images that I bring here. You know, visually they interest me, and then also it's always an essence of where I start with. You know, we have this body, we are human with very high intelligence, but our instinct, all our making, it's all coming from those other sources. It's animal instinct. We attach to it. You know, we smell each other, we screen each other, we mark our territory. I mean, and then now, those are the conversations that I try to have. How can I start putting those puzzles together? They don't make sense, but they make sense in the composition of the work. And then the color that I choose, that's like the arrival. Then I am on Earth. I can control everything, every color, I can make it work. And there is the piece, it's done. And then when it's done, I have, you know, the authority, I like this, can I live with this? Yes or no? If it's no, I paint over it, and then I go back to my world. And so repetitively, this has been like that for decades for me. So, you know, I don't like weird, but I like something who has a meaning to it, and a sense of realness is attached to me. Then I can have a dialogue and share to you versus, like, you know, you making some stuff they creepy. You know, I mean, I think the creepiest stuff today is the government. It's not these images that I create. And so that's another thing. But the things is that just to show you, I try to push myself into those things. You know, I believe we can all create our reality. Well, this is what I signed up for. You know, for me to make a human face with some animal's ear, what does that mean now? It's like there's an attentiveness now attached to it. The animal has a more attentive. If I put a human ear, it's not the same attentiveness.
Right.
So I'm taking the human and I'm attaching it with something, you know. It's out there, it's in the nature, it has a very high quality of response, you know. So for me to have a, having the same structure than a wolf and a dog, there is an essence there. I'm trying to dialogue with that and negotiate. How can I take it from that place and to bring it into reality? And then to have the viewer to go whatever better. I think for me, you know, making art had only did one thing, and that's the only things I want that to do. It's to enhance the quality of my intelligence, meaning emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, superpower intelligence, mental intelligence, all of those intelligence. If I can look at a painting and one of those things respond to it, that's a good, you know, that's a good contribution. I don't want to make the art and keep people dumb and or keep repeating them to give them the same thing.
Right. No, your work is never the same.
You know,
it's always
so
evolving.
And that's something is very important and dear to my heart. You know, someone will come and look at the work. Wow, this is I'm not sure, but it's good. Oh man, you have a talent. Or this is not for me, but this is very good, man. And that's a good enough for me. You know, there's something in their psyche had responding to it, and then they cannot go around it, you know.
Right.
And that that just is very cool.
I've been in your artist tent before, right? And it's so interesting to watch people come and go and see their response, because everyone is so distinctively different.
Yeah.
They either cruise right on by, or they come in and they're curious, right? Or, you know, some of them have a dialogue with you right out the gate. I mean, everyone, that's how I met Michele. I ended up looking at your artwork and I was just like, wow, that is just amazingly cool. And then I had a dream that night afterward, after, you know, coming into the tent. I didn't get to say hello to you, but I had a dream about about something, and a piece of your artwork was in my dream.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But
And
what I wanted to kind of emphasize on these things is pretty much like when I see a young mind of kids, they never been frightened with the work. They go right to it. It amuse them, it interests them, and so that's the part of the innocent. Then they still carry. We lose it. It gets interrupted after a while because we want to grow so fast. We know everything. You know, the guy come and I know about this stuff. You don't know about this stuff because this attitude doesn't allow you to know about this stuff. You know,
right,
so
right.
when that is interrupted, you're responding or you're looking at the work from an ego perspective. And that's what you're reflecting to me. So let's go back, you know, look at the work. Number one, it's like you ever see an image like that, answer that, right? You're having this presumption there is a lot of devil inside of the studio. You ever see the devil? You never question that. And then now you start getting them to come back to something it'd be useful for them, you know. And then I had encountered someone who was totally convinced he was in the art world and all of that. He came to my space and then look at my work. Wow, there's a lot of devil here. I was going to say, wow, really? And it was kind of interesting because I asked him, you know, you ever see the devil? He said, oh, I said, well, you want to see the devil? I can show you the devil, you know. And then you see like this grandiosity starts shrinking a little bit. I said, if you want it, I can show you the devil in a minute here. Just close your eyes. When you're ready, open them. He opened his eyes. He realized, oh no, there's no any devil. Well, then the devil doesn't exist. You just create shit. And he left more confused than the way he came back.
But beautiful though. Beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful, right? Because that confusion is going to add to further in-depth questions within themselves that either someone will just like shrug off or they'll continue to be curious and it's going to take them places that they would have never discovered before.
Yeah, I mean, because it's all ego driven, you know. As I think as I grow, I realize for, you know, for so long, I was so convinced that I know myself. I don't know myself. I know my ego. It operates 24/7, and it had done until I was able to grasp it and have a better understanding about it. You know, it's totally cool to be grandiose, to make your means, to have, you know, your time on earth. But you know, there is a humble side of you that has to come. Hey man, tell me what you do. This is interesting. And then you open that. That's the heart again. You open the channel of the heart, and we have a conversation. Either you support me or not. That's where I take when I leave this earth with me, and that's what you probably will take. I met this guy in Oregon at this show. I mean, this thing's still with me. I was not able to afford his work, but that stuff, you don't find it in the bank.
Right. You know? So beautiful. Absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
So many pearls of wisdom that you can take from a conversation like this, which is exactly why I wanted to talk to you. So when you ask yourself the question, Michele, who am I? Who am I? Right. One of the main questions that we all ask. I mean, we can fall down the rabbit hole. Where did we come from? You know, why am I here? That's one of my favorites. Why am I here? But I know that I'm here to transcend myself and to help others, you know, transcend. I mean, I'm absolutely crystal clear on that. But when
and I think so all of those answers, they pretty much come from the simplicity of asking that, you know, what is my life on service to? That's it, you know.
What is my life in service to?
Yeah, and then if you can break it down in a way, then you can answer all those, right? What am I doing in these things? You know, what is my service here to? You know, how did I get here? And all of those things lead you to different incrementation of getting closer to that place. You know, and that's big enough, you know. The more complex you want to make it, the further it gets confusing. Because you can just that's where you start, you know, checking into your self-worth, your doubt, your ability, your confidence, you know, what you do is not good enough. And all of this crap, there you are, in this huge pool full of it, and you can get out of it. So you gotta have to find a way to change the metaphor. If you can change the metaphor, you can get off that prison. If you get off that prison, you know better to never come back to it.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think so. That's what that's how I feel.
Well, you know, my main pursuit is to never have that sense of being trapped. Right. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, that's one thing. Another thing I should say that we both have in common is to feel that sense of liberation within ourselves. And, you know, it's fleeting,
Mm-hmm.
but we do arrive from
Yeah.
time to
Yeah.
time to that space where, you know, it's a flow and
Mm-hmm.
it's a vibe and
Mm-hmm.
it's a rhythm and it feels good. You know, when you're there, you need to question nothing when you're in
Right.
that place and you're in that zone. And you know, it is my true pursuit to have as many people feel that as possible. Right?
Yeah.
It is about the inside job, because all the certainty that you need is
Mm-hmm.
within yourself. You
For
know,
sure.
we're looking out and about, and you know, all these uncertain times, everything we're questioning. But here's really the take home for me is that I'm questioning everything I was ever taught,
Mm.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And being that I have spent a lot of time alone, right,
Mm-hmm.
um that's been my greatest teacher.
For sure. For
You
sure.
know, and how painful it was
For sure.
going through. But you know what? You don't get to the place where I am without pain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
just don't. I mean, they
Uh-huh.
go like, you know, we live in a life of duality, and it go, you know, where the deeper you love, the more
Mm-hmm.
pain you're going to have.
Yeah.
The more
Yeah.
pain you're going to be able to feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's the
Yeah.
depths of the soul.
I think so. I mean, I think so. There's a level of a very strong lesson to it. You know, the time, you know, uh, yeah, you you embrace your own moment and in this journey. You know, you have to find a way to make it useful. That's the best remedy. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
then useful for me will be different than useful for you. You know, and that's when I really learned that's the best place for me to really learning to undo. I gotta undo things to
Mm-hmm.
order to make room to get to other belief, other system, the way that I've been taught, and all and so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden you carry less weight, which is less pain. And then I
Mm-hmm.
think so when you get to that place, you know, then you look at it. You don't have to tell anyone you're growing because they know you are growing.
Right.
You know,
Right. So
so
true.
I think so those things are very valid. And then running away from that, it's very uncomfortable, you know, and it's very unpleasant. Okay, it's very this and that. But the reality of it, you know, you might not get this opportunity again. So try to embrace it the best way you can, and
Mm-hmm.
then you know it will be very fruitful in the long run for you because right now you cannot see it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's that, you know, but I really believe when you invest something in your heart, you lose it, right? Uh, that's the only way and only time you know how much you put in there. If you were selfish to put 75%, your pain is going to be intense. If you had put everything in there, you probably will free yourself quicker than that, you know,
Mm.
because you're not here diagnosing, you know, how I'm going to forgive myself, how I'm going to, with the mistake I made. You know, you start carving your path again. You know, you're feeling your sadness, you're feeling all of these different emotions. Those are healthy. Those create the next path for you
Right.
know. And when you were selfish, you got to kind of wheel that thought together. That's complex, very complex, you know.
Yeah.
So your work, it's always, yeah, it's all over the fucking place. well, the next things you want to go, it's like seize the pain and then you go create more of it in a short
Yeah.
period of time. So what is the learning to it? I don't know, but that's how I see it.
Well, I know the part of the learning is to not live in hindsight,
For
right?
sure,
Like,
that's it.
right, living in hindsight is most
Mm,
certainly a painful way to go through living, and having the foresight, like,
mm-hmm.
and you don't need to know what you're
Uh-huh.
creating. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I most certainly have been in that space before, right?
Right.
But you have to be involved. You have
Mm-hmm.
to be involved with that creation, and creation is no different than birthing a business, birthing a baby, birthing creation. Like, it's not always going to be a joyride, but man, it's rewarding in the end.
Yeah, and then if you look at those facet element of that, because the people had more up to and more motivation when it's something good. But creation is all of that. You make good stuff, you make bad stuff, you create, you keep moving. I mean, the universe does that. Once in a while, it throw you a very intense tornado, then it turn everything sunny and beautiful and spreading you. You forget everything, and all of that things add to your growth. You still have to age. You still have to be responsible. You still have to respond as a parents and all of those things. And your kids makes you nuts. Sometimes you love them completely. So all of that, it's part of that. And that, if you can surrender and ground yourself to it, I think so that's something big to arrive to. Yeah, there's less struggle to it.
Hold on, Michelle. Something just interrupted my computer here. Uh, shoot. Um, I'm going to do that. Shoot. How do I get this back? Oops. There we go. Start. There we go. Hold on.
Yeah,
Speaker view. There we go. And then fudge. There we go. Okay. So I'll have to do some edit work on this one, but that's okay. I had a call come in and it completely
yeah,
interrupted the screen.
for
And
sure,
so I lost you.
for sure.
Um, I don't know what we were talking about before that interruption.
Yeah, we were talking about loneliness and the downtime, the pain, and stuff like that to making it useful. I believe that's where we were.
Okay. All right. So I'll start here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, really what it is all about is growing, right? It's
For sure.
growth, and it's also, key word with a capital L, it's love.
Yeah, for sure. There's an interesting word. We all want to grow, and then we all going about it in a very messy way. And then we all want to love, but we never really pause into the feeling of what that is. The word has a very beautiful romance to it, has like we throwing it left and right. But the essentiality to really anchor ourselves inside of those things, really change the dynamic and the attitude of those, yeah, the essence of what they are, you know. So I think that's definitely one big component, you know. Uh, yeah, to order to love, you have to start somewhere, right?
That's right.
You have to get to know the self you're loving, the person
That's
you love.
that's right.
and that's where we lose patience.
I tell myself I love me every day.
Oh, that's pretty good reminder. I like that. I like,
Right?
yeah, yeah. That's
I
at least,
say to
at least
you,
you
I love
cannot
you.
bullshit.
And then you say you love me. And I'll be like, you love me? Oh,
Yeah, yeah. At least that part you cannot bullshit yourself. That's pretty clear.
that's
You know.
right.
Yeah, it's
That
like
it's the most powerful healer out there, right?
yeah. I think
It's going to
as a
transform you every time because
yeah,
really
yes,
like that's the
hmm
feel good, right? Where you
yeah,
can just like sit with yourself,
hmm
no matter what's going on, no matter the shape or size, color,
yeah,
like nothing, it's loving yourself inside and out.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
it's an
just
attitude of a good reminder, I think, so
mhm,
that'll get you there. Even if you don't feel that way, I think the reminder would fish you out of the mud, you
mm,
know. So I
yeah,
think so to just stay reminded about it. I mean, we live with someone for years, but we don't feel those things sometimes. But it is, it's a commitment to make, to honor that word, to honor that union, and in your work, and in your person, and all of that, and all of those things is just a different elevation of the same thing, the ends to love, I think
yeah.
so that's pretty awesome reminder.
So
Yeah.
you hang on. I'm gonna say goodbye to everyone. So here it is, Patty D here, coach, spiritual headhunter, Michele Delgado, wishing you well, nothing but the best. Lots of love. I'm certain that Michele and I will have conversations again in the future. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, and we'll circle back around sometime soon. Wishing you lots of love. Take care.